Welcome to Artificial Fluency, where we explore the fascinating intersections of science, technology, and human potential. I'm your host, John, and with me today is our AI co-host, Emma. Today, we're diving into a topic that might sound like science fiction, but is increasingly becoming science fact: Project STARGATE and its modern implications.
That's right, John. Many of our listeners might recognize Stargate from pop culture, but the real story is even more fascinating. The original Stargate project was a classified US Army unit established in 1978 at Fort Meade, Maryland, focused on exploring psychic phenomena and remote viewing.
And now, decades later, we're seeing a resurgence of interest in this field, particularly with the release of declassified documents and new research initiatives. Emma, can you give us some historical context?
Absolutely. The original Stargate project ran for almost 2 decades, from 1978 to 1995. It was funded by various government agencies, including the Defense Intelligence Agency and the CIA, with a total budget of about $20 million over its lifetime. The program employed several notable remote viewers, including Joseph McMoneagle and Ingo Swann.
For our listeners who might be unfamiliar, could you explain what remote viewing actually is?
Remote viewing is the practice of gathering information about a distant or unseen target using extrasensory perception, or the sensing with the mind. The methodology was actually quite structured. Stanford Research Institute, SRI, developed a specific protocol called Coordinate Remote Viewing, CRV, which involved giving viewers only geographic coordinates or random numbers as targets to prevent any sensory cues.
That's fascinating, and I understand they had some strict protocols in place.
Absolutely. They used double-blind protocols where neither the remote viewer nor the interviewer knew the target. They also developed a specific methodology called analytical overlay to help viewers distinguish between actual perceived information and their own mental projections.
And what were some of the notable experiments or successes during the original program?
There were several remarkable cases that have been declassified. Pat Price's work on the Soviet facility at Semipalatinsk, Kazakhstan, is one of the most famous. He described details like a giant gantry crane and underground storage facilities that were later confirmed by satellite imagery. Another notable case involved Joseph McMoneagle, who accurately described a new type of Soviet submarine under construction in 1979, including specific technical details that were later verified.
Were there other significant successes?
Yes, actually. Ingo Swann, one of the program's primary remote viewers, provided detailed descriptions of Jupiter's rings before they were discovered by NASA's Pioneer 10 spacecraft. There was also the Beacon project, where viewers successfully located downed aircraft and missing personnel. However, it's important to note that the program's overall results were mixed, leading to ongoing debates about its effectiveness.
What about some of the declassified documents? What do they tell us?
The CIA has released thousands of pages through their CREST database. Some of the most interesting documents include the Mars exploration sessions from 1984, where remote viewers attempted to explore Mars's past, and the Jupiter probe documents detailing Swann's observations. There's also extensive documentation about the program's methodology, including the 6-stage CRV protocol developed by Ingo Swann and the evaluation metrics they used.
Let's fast forward to recent developments. What's happening now in this field?
Several significant things are occurring. First, we're seeing a new wave of declassified documents through the CIA's reading room, providing more insights into the original program. Additionally, there are new research initiatives at universities and private institutions exploring consciousness and its potential applications.
I understand there's also been increased interest from the scientific community in studying these phenomena using modern technology.
Yes, that's one of the most exciting developments. Modern neuroscience and quantum physics are providing new frameworks for understanding phenomena that were once dismissed as purely paranormal. For instance, the University of Virginia's Division of Perceptual Studies is conducting rigorous scientific research into consciousness and its potential extended capabilities.
Let's take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll discuss the modern applications and implications of this research. Welcome back to Artificial Fluency. Emma, let's talk about how modern technology is helping us understand these phenomena better.
The current scientific research is particularly fascinating. Advanced fMRI studies at institutions like the University of California and the Institute of Noetic Sciences are mapping neural correlates during remote viewing attempts. They're finding interesting patterns in the default mode network, which is associated with internally directed cognition, but also in the anterior cingulate cortex and precuneus regions, areas linked to attention and visual spatial processing.
What specific patterns are they seeing?
Research shows distinct activation patterns during remote viewing attempts compared to regular imagination or visualization. There's increased connectivity between the frontal and parietal regions, similar to patterns seen during deep meditative states. What's particularly interesting is that successful remote viewers show different activation patterns from those who are just guessing, suggesting there might be a neurological basis for these abilities.
And how does this tie into quantum physics?
Recent theoretical work by physicists like Dean Radin and Roger Penrose suggests potential quantum mechanisms for non-local consciousness. They're exploring concepts like quantum entanglement and quantum coherence in microtubules within brain neurons. Some researchers propose that consciousness might operate at a quantum level, potentially allowing for non-local information access through quantum field interactions.
And I understand there's been some interesting overlap with quantum physics research.
Exactly. Some theoretical physicists, including those working on quantum entanglement and non-locality, suggest these phenomena might have quantum mechanical explanations. The idea that consciousness might operate at a quantum level is gaining more serious scientific attention.
Let's address the skepticism that naturally comes with this topic.
That's crucial. The scientific community remains largely skeptical, and rightfully so. Good science requires extraordinary evidence for extraordinary claims. However, what's changing is the willingness to study these phenomena using rigorous scientific methods rather than dismissing them outright.
What are some of the current research methodologies being used?
Modern research typically involves double-blind protocols, sophisticated statistical analysis, and careful controls against sensory leakage. For instance, the Global Consciousness Project at Princeton University used random number generators to study potential effects of collective human consciousness on physical systems.
Looking to the future, what potential applications are researchers exploring?
Current research is expanding in several fascinating directions. The Department of Defense's Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program, AATIP, has shown renewed interest in studying consciousness and its potential applications. Private research institutions like the Farsight Institute and the Monroe Institute are conducting structured experiments in remote viewing under strict scientific protocols.
What specific applications are being developed?
Several promising areas are emerging. In medicine, researchers at the Institute of Noetic Sciences are studying presentiment and intuitive diagnosis, looking at how some healthcare providers seem to know about patient conditions before conventional diagnosis. The HeartMath Institute is investigating heart-brain coherence and its role in intuitive perception. There's also groundbreaking work in crisis prevention. The Global Consciousness Project, run by researchers connected to Princeton University, maintains a global network of random number generators to study collective consciousness effects during major world events. Additionally, several private research groups are exploring applications in archaeology, where remote viewing is being tested as a tool for locating historical sites.
Are there any practical applications already in use?
Yes, actually. Some law enforcement agencies have quietly begun incorporating remote viewing techniques in missing persons cases, though this remains controversial. There's also increasing interest from financial institutions in studying presentiment effects in market behavior. The US military maintains some level of interest through various research programs, though much of this work remains classified.
What about practical applications in fields like emergency response or search and rescue?
That's actually one of the more promising areas. Some researchers are exploring whether trained remote viewers might assist in locating missing persons or identifying potential natural disasters. However, these applications are still in early experimental stages.
As we wrap up, what would you say to our listeners who are interested in learning more about this field?
I'd encourage them to approach the topic with both an open mind and healthy skepticism. The Declassified CIA documents are publicly available through their website, and there are several reputable research institutions studying consciousness and its potential capabilities.
And what about the future of this research?
The future likely lies in the intersection of multiple disciplines: neuroscience, quantum physics, consciousness studies, and advanced technology. As our understanding of consciousness and quantum mechanics grows, we might find scientific explanations for phenomena that once seemed inexplicable.
Thank you for this fascinating discussion, Emma, and thank you to our listeners for joining us on Artificial Fluency. For those interested in learning more, we'll include links to declassified documents and current research programs in our show notes.
Remember to approach this topic with curiosity and critical thinking. The truth about human consciousness and its capabilities might be even more fascinating than fiction.